afternoon, beautiful people. I'm Natasha Jones, and you are now tuning in and keeping up with the Joneses here on WLB Baltimore 1010 AM. Now, last week I was missing in action. I was in a car accident in last year on December 18th, so I had to go to court for that. But every week and once a month I have a panel discussion. Man, the guest that I have on here today, I had a panel discussion back in last year when I was on Spirit 1400 about homosexuality in the community and in the workplace. I have a circle of friends that's like a rainbow. Everybody is different in their own setting. I have gay friends and I have straight friends. So I'm not the one to judge. I know the Bible and I know the verses in the Bible. But with me being the individual that I am in my skin, I'm not in any place to judge anyone. I accept everyone the way that they are. Now, this man wrote this book called Words Never Spoken. And when I had the panel discussion, I had a girlfriend named Anissa Lambertise. Shout out to the Glam Box, the hair salon. She works there. She's a fantastic hairstylist. She mentioned this individual to come on the show. But when she finally gave me his information, it was too late. So she screenshot the picture of the book and she texted to me. I contacted this individual maybe like at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And he contacted me via phone in Atlanta. So I'm like, I know no bill collectors calling me at 10, 11 o'clock at night. But it was the author. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, a big deal. I mean, I was really excited because I heard so much positive things about this book. And when you have family members or a friend that's gay, it's like sometimes they feel as though they have to keep themselves in a box, that they can't open up their box to be who they really are. And this book is really a testimony of an individual born and raised in Baltimore, moved to Atlanta, moved to LA, and when he went to that last point in LA, he wrote this book. And man, the book is awesome. And I just want to give man my deepest expression to this man for even coming on the show and trusting me with his testimony. Mr. Stewart, I just want to say thank you. The author of Words Never Spoken, Mr. Craig Stewart. Can you please give the listeners a little bit of your testimony? Because I really think that testimonies can move mountains. And they really can be the testimony and the motivation to help somebody come out their box, no matter if they're gay, if they want to go back to school, if they want to start their own business. Can you start off the show with your testimony?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
inviting me. And the two friends of yours that reached out to you, a huge thank you to both of them. As you said, I am from Baltimore. I grew up here. I have a sister and a brother. They're both older. Mm-hmm. And for many years, my sister struggled with the drug addiction. And my brother, he was incarcerated for about 23 years. Mm-hmm. And so I am the first and only of my mom's children to graduate high school and then to go on to college. I went to Hampton University in Virginia, and 2 days after I finished at Hampton, I moved to Atlanta to write music.
With no family members in Atlanta?
No family, no.
Just went on your own?
Went on my own. And so looking back, I guess in some way I probably was trying to isolate myself, to continue to find myself, because, being gay was something that I had always known.
Now, what age were you at this time?
When I moved to Atlanta, I was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was exactly 2 days after I graduated from Hampton.
Okay.
And so I moved there with the intention of writing music. And so I did that for a while. But while I was writing music, I was coming to terms with being gay. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And like I said, for many years, I had been trying to suppress those feelings, but being in Atlanta and being alone in Atlanta without any friends or family, it gave me the space to kind of find myself, to really kind of explore. But, I lived in Atlanta for 13 years, initially writing music, writing for Brandy.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, writing for Brandy. I worked with Tweed, and but I love
Tweed.
Yeah, but I never had a song that made it on an album.
Okay.
And so at the same time, I was coming to terms with being gay, and the very first guy that I fell for found out that he was HIV positive. That's the Salim character that I write about in the book. But he found out that he was HIV positive 2 months after we met.
Okay.
And so that relationship, when it fizzled and died.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you because in your book, the Celine, it starts off in the chapter called "Testing Waters," right?
Testing the waters.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you right there because I really want to get down to that because
I love that you did your research.
I did my research because when I have my guests on the show, I really try to bring guests on the show that people can relate to.
Absolutely.
People that's real.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have any phonies on my show and then people be emailing me saying they are hypocrites. So I really do my research.
Yeah.
So you said suppressing your feelings. Now, the words that you speak can relate to any situation.
Absolutely.
Just like if you're in love with a married man.
Absolutely.
You have to suppress those feelings because you know you can't have this person. I mean,
Absolutely.
you can,
right.
But according to the Bible, it should never come to pass.
Right.
And you know when you in a relationship and you married, and there's temptation, there's curbs, there's smile, there's females that may stroke a man's ego that he's not getting at home. So as a man, how do you suppress those feelings?
For me, it was years of trying to shift the way that I was thinking.
Okay.
But those feelings and those thoughts always crept in.
Okay.
You know, I was never really attracted to any particular male growing up, just the physique.
Okay.
So like in gym class and, you know, like if
But what about the females? I
had girlfriends.
Okay.
And I was attracted to girls up to a point.
Okay.
But that started to shift after or going through puberty.
Okay.
And so, like, the wet dreams were no longer about girls. They were about boys. And I say that in the opening of the book.
Okay.
They were no longer... So, it wasn't something that I could control. So, at that point, that was the first glimpse that I had that it wasn't something that I could really control, though I continue to try. And so, when you look at men now who go off and get married, who had those same feelings, because my last girlfriend was in college. And we talked about getting married, but somewhere tucked in the back of my mind, I knew that wasn't going to happen with her. And I knew I needed to make the decision to either tell her or to continue this charade. And so I made the decision to break it off with her. But, you know, I think that, you know, every man who experiences those feelings or an attraction towards the same sex, you come to that impasse where you have to make the decision to continue to live in secret or live in your truth or to be free, you know. But go ahead.
Now, part of you living in your truth, did you think something was wrong with you? Like a lot of people think we train sometimes that homosexuality is illness mentally.
Right.
So did you think it was something wrong with you, or you was already educated that this is who you are?
No, I wasn't educated. I never thought there was something wrong with me.
Okay.
I always thought that it was something that I could control, something that I could pray away.
Okay.
You know, because that's one of the things that in the black community we're taught, that you can just pray things away. And what I know now as an adult, that some things you just can't pray away. Doesn't mean that prayer doesn't work. It just means that you have to adjust to the life that God gave you. You understand? So for me, it was about undoing untruths that I had been taught and told by the black church, by the black family, and by the black community. So it was just really about finding my voice and finding myself. And the struggle of that, the mental anguish of that, the frustration of that, really came because all of my life I had been taught directly and indirectly by society, by watching television and not seeing examples of black gay men in particular, or television or movies featuring black gay men. I'd been taught indirectly that it was wrong, that it was wrong to be gay. And so when you've prayed all your life to change something that is innate, you know, you start to, so in some instances, suffer through a depression, start to dislike yourself. And in turn, I started to dislike other gay people.
Yes.
When I looked at other gay men that were obviously gay, that were flamboyant or what have you, it turns into disdain.
But was it disdain because they were something that you wish that you were? They was open.
That.
And they had courage.
That, absolutely.
Okay.
And also because we're taught to hate the feminine qualities in ourselves.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw that in other gay men, you know, things, even if they were far to the left, if you will, in terms of flamboyance, you know, it was just one of those things that I hated. You know, I hated to see it. You know, because like you said, somewhere inside myself, I knew there was a piece of that in me. You know, but go ahead.
Because I know when I was in high school, I attended Northwestern High School. It was a group of men called Positive Choice, Positive Voice. And they all was gay. And they was like in their late 30s, 40s, 50s. And one was HIV. And the guy that was in charge of it, his uncle was like one of the hall monitors there. And I know they gave my principal, you know, a lot of backlash because they didn't want us exposed to those certain qualities. But what it did was educate us.
Right.
And they spoke to us about, you know, gay and HIV and AIDS and what to look for. Because when I was in high school, people were still down low. But it wasn't as popular like it is now. Like, everybody is gay, everybody is a lesbian. It's like a big deal now.
Well, two things. Gay people have always been around. I think it's just more acceptable, and people are coming out more now and sooner, earlier. I didn't come out till I was 22, but you see people now coming out at 14.
But why do you think so? Because it's like right now it's like a big deal to be gay.
Well,
like right
because you see more glimpses of gay people in television, in movies, in books,
sports.
in sports. You see more examples of it, and so it welcomes those that are in the closet to kind of come out. It ushers them out of the closet. But then also, when you think about black folks, we've just always been taught to keep that, you know, in the closet, you know, not to really speak about it, not to really talk about it, not to really act on it.
Okay, Mr. Starr, I want to ask you this. Have you ever been around a Caucasian person that's gay?
Absolutely.
So are they embraced different than the black community, or is it the same way?
There are going to be similarities. There will be similarities, but the journey for a black gay person or a gay person of color, if you will, because I believe a lot of Latinos have similar struggles as black gay men.
Okay.
There are going to be some differences, but the white community embraces gay white people differently than we do. You know, black folks are so rooted in the church, and we've held on to this idea that it's wrong to be gay. You know, but I've said in many interviews and in many panel discussions that, you know, the Bible at one point was used to justify slavery. You know, the word was used to brainwash African slaves, black people, and they were told that, you know, according to the Bible and according to the word, that we were inferior and that we were here to serve. And so the word, the text, has been used also to control the minds of gay folks. You know, that's why you see so many gay folks struggling and suffering. You know, and taught that you are going to hell because of something that you can't even control. You know, so that's a part of what I've been trying to do with the book, with Words Never Spoken, because it's the church has propagated this lie that they know is a lie, but they've propagated this lie since the beginning of time. You've seen church leaders that are gay, they're closeted, but that are gay, whether it's a pope, whether it's a bishop, whether it's a minister, whatever it is. But they've used this text, this excuse that, you know, that the Bible says that it's wrong to be gay, that you're going to hell, et cetera, et cetera. But in my opinion, the church itself owes the gay community, not just the black community, not just the black gay community, but owes the gay community an apology, because they've propagated what they know is a lie. You know, they've prostituted the talents and the gifts of gay people. We've served as ushers, musicians, ministers of music, even church leaders, the bishops. You know, and in many cases, we are the congregation. We represent the men in the congregation, the majority of the men in the congregation. So they use us when it's convenient.
They the tailors.
Absolutely. They use us when it's convenient, and then they set us aside when it's time to deliver, quote unquote, the word.
That was deep. Now, I had looked up a word, obscura.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dark or dim,
Mm-hmm.
not clearly seen or easily distinguished.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that homosexuality can fall under this word? Because sometimes they mask themselves. Then you have the down low brothers.
Right.
The ones that mask themselves as men.
Mm-hmm.
They're not feminine, but they still are involved with men and women.
Mm-hmm.
So as a black woman
Mm-hmm.
that's still praying for a husband,
Absolutely,
that's still trying to have a child, do you think that it's hope in the black community for African American women to find a man that's not on the down low gay?
absolutely, absolutely. I think, you know, this whole DL or download phenomena has scared many women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the media has helped that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instigated that, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
They have you guys fearing that you can't find a gay man because we're all a straight man or a husband or whatever because we're all gay or they're all in jail,
Mm-hmm.
and that just isn't the case. I don't think that homosexuality is obscure or dark. I think we've been taught that. And I think for that reason, and I think there are a lot of gay people who may believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for that reason, you have some gay men who are suffering in silence. You know, their self-esteem is at an all-time low because they've lived an entire life where they've been told that it's wrong and that if you just had enough faith, you could really just change. You could just pray this thing away. And so I think because of their self-image that some have, they look for sex in some of the darkest, dankest places.
And we're going to get into that because you broke it
Yeah.
down in your book.
Yeah.
Now, when you were struggling with your sexuality, because you're in Atlanta, you don't have any family members, you're
Right.
still young.
Right.
What was going through your mind at that time?
Wow. It was such a juggle, you know, because as I was in Atlanta, when I first got to Atlanta, I was writing for a theater company.
Okay.
And, you know, with theater, you tend to have a lot of gay men
Yeah.
present in the theater company.
Yeah.
And so the obvious, quote unquote, gay men to me that were flamboyant, that I could tell were gay right off the bat, I always kept a barrier between myself and them because I didn't want to be, again, it was my own issues. It was my own internalized homophobia. But I didn't want to be attached or associated to them because then it would appear that I too was gay, you know. But, you know, a story that I share in the book is one of the guys that is gay or that was gay.
Marcel?
No, Skylar.
Okay.
I got you really. You better know the character.
What's the guy name with the N? I can't pronounce his name.
Nikwe.
Okay, Nikwe. Okay.
So one of the guys in the theater company, Skylar, who I knew was gay, I avoided at all costs. He actually became a friend of mine, and I actually disclosed to him the first time that I went out with a guy and kissed a guy, and he said, well, you know, and he was just so welcoming, but I was so cold to him in the beginning because, again, going back to what we said earlier, I knew he was gay. I didn't want to be associated with him. I wouldn't look at him. I wouldn't talk to him, and he was always trying to be pleasant to me. And so when I was going through this difficult time after this first attraction that I had with this first guy, you know, I talked to Skylar, and he said to me, I said, well, how did you know I was gay? And he said, because a rose can smell a rose. You know, so, you know, even though I thought that I was doing a good job at hiding it, you know,
you weren't.
I wasn't, you know what I mean? But it was a dance. It was because as I started to become more comfortable in my skin, it was a juggle between those new friends that I was making in Atlanta, whom all weren't gay. But it was, so the new friends that I was making, I was okay with sharing with them because they were new people in my life. And so, but it was a balance. It was a juggle because the old friends, the people that had known me all of my life, people that I'd gone to college with, people that I grew up with, they didn't know. So it was a cakewalk, you know, from the people who knew and the people who didn't know. So it just became such a juggle. You know, it was difficult.
Now, you moved to Atlanta. You met Salim. Now, tell the listeners about that piece of the story.
Yeah, I met Salim, and he was the first guy that.
Now, at this point, you're not denial anymore.
No, because this is '99. Okay. So this was a year later.
Okay.
After I'd been in Atlanta, I still hadn't come out to my family though.
Okay.
And so I'm in Atlanta. I had gay friends at this point. I had been on some dates and, that kind of thing. But I met him. And when I met him, he was actually living with a guy that he had been in a relationship with, but they had broken up.
So they was now like in the roommate situation.
They were in the roommate situation. Okay. But as I said to him, I said, listen, as long as you're still living in that house, you're still technically together.
Okay.
And so he and I started dating, but I had the mindset that I wasn't going to allow myself to get close to him because he was still living with the guy.
Okay, we have a call.
Okay.
Hello, you on the line with Mr. Stewart from Words Never Spoken.
I can't hear.
Okay, can you hear?
Absolutely. It's called Words Never Spoken, a memoir by Craig Stewart. And it is available on Amazon, or you can download it. It's on all of the e-readers as well.
And iTunes.
Yeah.
And you can go on, if you YouTube his name, he reads certain scriptures from his book, certain passages from his book. He read on YouTube. And I mean, it's amazing. It is amazing. Yes, ma'am. He reads like certain parts of his book on YouTube to give you like a little sample.
Right, but in terms of buying it, you can go to Amazon.com or you can download it. I'm not sure if you have like an iPad or a Kindle or something. You can download it as well. But my web address is www.craigthewriterstewart.com, and all of the means to purchase the book you can find out from there.
Okay, it's Craig the writer?
Yes, Craig the Writer Stewart. Stewart is STEWART.com.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. Now
So,
he's the roommate.
Yeah, so Salim and his ex, they were living together. They were roommates. And so we were slowly dating. We were slowly getting to know each other. So at the time, I was still very green in terms of being gay and coming out. So there were certain things that I just wasn't dealing with and things that I wasn't going to participate in. And so I kind of kept him at bay. And so we spent time, but it never became sexual.
Okay.
And so 2 months after we met, he found out at October 1st, 1999, he found out that he was HIV positive. And like I said, we had never had any type of sexual contact, so I wasn't concerned about that, but it still crushed me because at that point, I had become so close to him.
So it crushed you because you fell for a man that you could never have.
It crushed me because I hated to see that happen to him. I hated to see it to continuously happen in our community, because the HIV rate in the black community is off the meter. And it's off the meter for so many reasons. You know, the black church has charged gay people responsible for HIV, which is completely false. And then there's a crop of black women who believe down low men are responsible. But that isn't the case.
It's a variety of
It's a variety of things. We're all responsible. We all have culpability. And so I was mixed up for so many reasons. Like I didn't want to see that happen to him or to anyone. And then, because I was starting to fall.
Is he still living?
He actually passed. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he actually passed. And that story's in the book as well.
Okay.
But yeah, he actually passed. And I talk about the last time that I actually saw him. But yeah, so
can you tell us a little piece about the last time?
Absolutely. I was about to produce my play again. I wrote and produced a play called A Day in the Life.
We're going to get into that. Okay.
And so I was leaving the theater. I had just put a deposit down on the theater. This was in Atlanta. And I was leaving the theater. I was driving down Edgewood Avenue. And I saw this guy walking down the street. And when I got closer, it was him. And so I said to him, hey, I'm doing the show again. He said, oh, okay, when are you doing this? I told him the dates. And he said, okay, well, let me know when the tickets go on sale. I'll be there opening night. Now, mind you, this was the 4th production of A Day in the Life. So I had done it before, and he had seen it before.
Okay.
But he wanted to come and support the show again. And he knew that he had inspired me to write the show, because I started writing that play 3 years after he and I dated.
Okay.
And so he said, let me know when the tickets are going to be on sale, and I'll be there. Well, 1 month later, he was dead. Yeah, the month that we actually went into rehearsals was the month he died. And so the show would actually open 2 months after that.
Now, as of today, do you ever think about what could have been, what should have been in that type of relationship? Because a lot of times we come across a person that we think that person is created just for us.
We always have ideas of how people should fit into our lives.
So do you think that he was a person that supposed to have been in your life forever or just temporary?
No, I think that he was designed to be, because I mean he lived for many years after he found out, and,
Okay.
and we remained friends. And I talk about the friendship and how we stayed in touch over the years in the book. But no, I think he played the part that he was supposed to play in my life. I think, and honestly speaking, I really believe that my interaction with him was really God speaking to me on several levels. For one, I think he put him in my life to write and create A Day in the Life, this play. And I think he had me so close to him because it would keep me passionate about touring the show, because that is ultimately the goal, is to tour the play. But then also I think that God put him in my life to keep me on my toes, to always keep me safe, to always keep me reminded to protect myself. You understand? So, yeah.
Okay, hold on. You're live with Mr. Stewart. Hello? Okay, now let's go back into the Atlanta point, because I'm going to get to the play, but I want to make sure I get there at a certain point. Now, the time that you wrote the book, when you wrote the book, was that the first time that your family knew that you was gay, or they knew before that?
Well, when I was dating Celine, which was 1999, I actually told my mom, because he wanted to have Thanksgiving.
Okay.
This was 1 year after I had been in Atlanta.
Okay.
And he wanted to cook Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay.
And this was my first year in Atlanta, and my mom had intentions of coming down with my nephew.
Okay.
And so, because again, my mom raised both of my nephews, because my sister had been on drugs for many years.
Okay.
So she and my nephew, who is only 5 years younger than I am, they were coming to Atlanta. And so I was kind of stuck or caught between a rock and a hard place. And I said to him, well, look, my mom is coming, so we can't have Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And so he said, well, she doesn't have to know. I could just be your friend. And I said, oh, no, my mom is not crazy. She's going to know something is up. So I actually told her. I called her. I tell this entire story in the book, and I called her from work, and I told her. And so all hell broke loose,
Okay.
basically.
Okay. You on line with Mr. Stewart? Yes.
Really, you said that you were looking for a man that wasn't gay until you could have a child and everything.
Yeah. My thing is,
I'm saying that's what you said, right?
yeah, I'm single. Wait a minute. My words were, I'm single. And I hang with a lot of people that's gay. And when if I say that's my friend right there, they'll say, well, you may need to look twice, because he looked like he can be one of us.
Well, the thing is that they want everybody to be gay so they can make you feel better. But the thing is, this is why God has given homosexuality.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Why the Bible says that homosexuality is an abomination.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why it's such a problem that folks that believe in the Bible that we are vilified for not going along with homosexuality. You don't even go along with it. You know, I mean, it's here, so you probably friends with people, but that's not really what you want in our community or you want in our humanity.
Well, okay, but my take on it is, with me, I'm not in a situation to judge anyone.
I'm not talking about gender.
Okay.
Homosexuality, I'm not talking about any individual. I'm talking about that homosexuality being a lifestyle that people are against. I don't know why.
Well, if I say that I'm against them, then that, to me, that seems like that I'm judging them.
Hey, you get homosexuality a lifestyle. And if you're not against it, that's on you.
You want to say something?
And I don't expect everybody to be the person that I say.
Okay, well, the writer would like to say something to you.
Well, I would like to make 2 points. First, being gay isn't a lifestyle. And the only way we're not going to agree on that if first we don't, if first, I'm going to explain it.
Wait a minute,
If,
he's going
if
to
first we
explain
don't,
it.
if we can't agree that it's indigenous that we're born gay, then we're not even going to agree on it being a lifestyle or not. A lifestyle is something that you choose, something that you design. A lifestyle is I work out 5 days of the week. A lifestyle is really predicated by things that we choose. And then to the point that you made earlier about, I also don't believe that being gay is a sin. So that's another point that we're going to disagree on. So are there things that are written in the Bible that you perhaps don't live up to? Are
Well,
there
well,
things in the Bible?
everyone is entitled to their own opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. He's entitled to his opinion. Oh, I'm not vilifying. That's not me. I'm not. I go to church every Sunday in Empowerment Temple. I'm not vilifying anyone.
So let
Who's
me let, let
you?
me
Wait a
ask
minute.
this.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, this is my show, so let me get this in order now. Who is you? Are you talking about me or are you talking about Mrs. Stewart? Who is you?
I said Christianity is what? What's the rest of the
Okay,
thought?
wait a minute. I have to end this conversation. But what I will say that you too.
Well, the point that I would make to him, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I never said that. I never vilified him. I never vilified Christianity or Christians.
Mm-hmm.
But the point that I would make to him, a lot of times people use scripture when it's convenient for them. So since he's not a gay person, he's against homosexuality, and
And
he,
I'm
he
not
uses
gay.
and he uses the Bible to
I'm
support
not
that.
gay, so I can't paint a picture of a gay lifestyle
But
because I love men. Lord knows I love
but
men.
but my question to him and to whoever else agrees with him who's listening, what scriptures in the Bible do you not live up to?
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things that the Bible speaks about. So my question to him, had he not got off the phone, would have been, uh, did he have sex outside of marriage?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Or does he live everything
To
by
the
the book?
T. To the T.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So we can't use scripture when it's to our convenience.
And see, with me, let me just say this. With me, I can't judge anyone because I'm not married and I have sex, and that's against the Bible. I dye my hair. That's against the Bible. I have tattoos. That's against the Bible. So a lot of things that I do is against the Bible. So with me personally, with Natasha Jones, the host of Keeping Up with the Joneses on WOLB, I am not in any position to judge anyone. I have friends that's gay. If that's what they want to do with their life, then that's their life. When it's judgment time, that's something that they have to dispute with. When I voted, did I vote for gay marriage? No, I did not. Why? Because that's against the Bible. So, let me take this next caller. You online with Keeping Up with the Joneses? You online with Keeping Up with the Joneses? Hello? You online with Keeping Up with the Joneses? You online with Keeping Up with the Joneses? How you doing? Uh huh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Oh, happy birthday. Mm-hmm. 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 And that's hard.
And I would have to say, you know, whether you're talking about gay folks, straight folks, whatever the case, I think that the church, in terms of the body of church, has set the standard, has set the bar so high that people feel like they have to be perfect and feel like they can't reach these standards. And I'm here to tell you that God grades us on a scale quite different than man. There are going to be a lot of people surprised when they get to the other side of life.
But you know, if you look at the way church was then back then, like I said, I'm 50 years old. Preachers taught about what was in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And now, from that time, from the 60s and the 70s, now from that time up to now, you have TV evangelists, you have cameras on preachers, you have politics going into church now.
Mm-hmm.
The word of God is very limited. This is why people go to church, they don't get the full gospel like they're supposed to. They're so busy listening to what other preachers, you know, church is a prophet now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And church should never be a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Teachings of it is what teachings of today is what a lot of people are missing. But that's all I wanted to say, and I appreciate the, taking time out to listen.
Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you very much.
God bless. You're on the line with Mr. Stewart?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the line with Mr. Stewart.
Probably Carlos. I have a problem with people who are always throwing up the Bible as validation, discrimination.
I agree.
A lot of people don't understand it, but the Bible also, and there is a lot of people who use the Bible knows slavery.
Absolutely.
And so I have a problem. I am heterosexual. I choose not, I'm not homosexual. And as long as those people, homosexuals and so forth, they was in their bedroom, in their household, conduct themselves as they want to, as a good community, then I'm for that. And I will not try, as a black man, I will not try to discriminate in any way, shape, or form against any human being, including homosexuals, because black people of all understand how our law has been used against us and to castrate us, demonize us to this day. And as I say, I appreciate you, brother, as a people human being, and that's the way I respond. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
Can I just say something to his
Sure,
point? You
sure.
know, he made a really valid point. You know, I've always found it so difficult to understand how black folks find it so easy. Some black folks, not all. Some black folks find it so easy to condemn a community of people. And in this case, we're talking about gay people. When we've been condemned, when we've been circumvented, you know, so I don't understand that. But I guess it gives credence to the saying, you know, the oppressed want to oppress. You know, so I just never understood that.
Now, let me do a refresh right quick. The book is called Words Never Spoken. And this book is based on Mr. Stewart life, coming out as a gay male. This is stuff that he went through as a gay male. This is not bashing really anyone. This is just his opinion on things that he went through, walked through, coming out as a black gay male in society. That's it. I'm not bashing the church community because I hang with people that's gay. I love my gay friends. I've known them for many years. I look past them as being gay. I look at them as human beings. And this is the same way that we need to look at people. No matter if you church people, to me, it just seemed like it's just too much of discrimination out here. We look at black and white couples. We look at two men. We look at two women. It's just too much going on. Sometimes we have to look past all of that. At Judgment Day, let God judge them.
And to your point, like, that is my coming out story. The way I see it is the backdrop of Words Never Spoken. There are other stories. I mean, there are other themes in this book. You know, as I mentioned at the top of the interview, it's about the impact that my parents' divorce had on me as a person. It's about all of the things that helped shape who I became.